video a little late because I'm still trying to figure out my schedule with classes and friends and eating and everything great about college. But this video, I decided to talk about Flight Week um, at UNT. I thought that the Flight Week would be like a lot better since orientation was a lot of fun and um, the Eagle Camp was a lot of fun. Um, but it just did not impress me at all because all the leaders felt like they were forced to be there, even though it was volunteer based, and they had no idea what they were doing. Like everyone like that I talked to about it were like, they told me that their leader didn't know what they were doing, and no one could answer like questions like, hey, what are we gonna do? And like later on today, or like, what are we gonna do tomorrow, or like Thursday? They're like, oh well, I'm not sure. So that made me a little upset just because I know all of it's based off of one like trying to get people to like to do things and like get you into college, but honestly like I had already made friends. I wanted to go hang out with them, so but I couldn't because in the mornings I had to go meet with my group, and then in the afternoons that we were required to go and do all of our little flight week things. You had to like go to like a little class, and then they'd give you a code and you could punch it in and stuff. And then people started cheating the system, and they started punching in the codes. I did not like it. I do appreciate the university setting out something like that. I just don't think that they should make it required for you to do. I think they should make it optional, especially since like I didn't like the small groups, especially, or they weren't even small. They were like groups of like 30 kids, 30, 40 kids, and like if you're like together, you're not gonna be able to get close to those kind of people because at Camp Eagle we were able to get together in groups of five, and that was perfect because then it was small to where you're kind of like forced to socially interact, and then you like connected with people in your group. But if you're like in groups of 40, you can't play games like that and it have the same effect. It's just not gonna work. But on the times that I wasn't doing flight week stuff, um, I was with my friends. We would meet up like after everything was done, and we would go and eat somewhere or like hang out. And they ended up spending the night in my dorm, 2 nights. I got my sister's blow up mattress, and we put it like down on the ground and blew it up, and they like slept on that, and it was a lot of fun. It was really great, and the friends I've made um, were all really open minded, and we're all really respectful of each other. So we all felt comfortable around each other, and we were able to really click as a group. And I think that for anybody going into college or any like workplace or any like social interaction, you just gotta um, come in with an open mind because I mean, you don't have to agree with the people that you're around. You don't have to like do the same things they do. You just have to be respectful of what they think and what they do, and try not to judge anybody, and try to be as nice as possible. Because that's the best way to make friends, and that's what a true friend does: is accept you for the best and the worst of yourself. Um, the first night of flight week, I got back at like 1:30 in the morning to my dorm, and I tried like swiping my ID, and I couldn't get into the building, and then so they had to let me in, and they like asked me like, "Hey, what's up?" And I said my ID is not working, and then they like went up to the desk and they said, "Oh, well, you just need to go get a new one." So I went to go get a new one, and I waited in line for an hour. I got up to the desk and they're like, "Oh no, we can't activate. We just make the card." So they're like, "Okay, we'll just go to your the people ahead of your dorm." So I went back to my dorm the next day, and the dorm people said, "No, you need to go get a new card." And I said, "No, they told me that I need to come here and talk to the person in the head, like the head of the dorm." And like, "Oh, well, that means that you need to go to this building because that's where the dorm like advisors are or whatever it is." And I was like, okay. So the next day I went there, and they said go down the hall and talk to the lunch, the dining hall services, and they were really nice. And I went to down the hall, and I went in there and I told her what happened. Told her. everything, and she's like, okay, well, let me scan your card because maybe they did the wrong ID number. And I said, okay. She swiped it, and she asked for my ID number, and then they had one number wrong. They typed in an 8 instead of a 7. So basically, I just had to get a new ID. And she's like, just go and get a new ID. And I was like, okay. So I went to go get a new ID, and I told them what happened. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll just make you one and stuff. And that's it. And I said, make an issue number 1 because I didn't lose the card. Y'all are the ones that messed up. So they made me a new one, made an issue 1. So it wasn't like an issue 2. I didn't have to go back to the dining hall to like update anything. And I was like, thank you so much. You could have done this like a few days ago. Like I came the first time, but you didn't. But we're here now, and I just dealt with it. And I went back to my dorm, and I tried to tell them so like they would know what to do if someone else had the same problem that I did, so that they can give them the correct information. And like I said, I told them I was like, yeah, so just send them there so they can get their card swiped to see it's the right one. And the dorm people were like, oh, like we could have done that here. And I'm like, and I'm just sitting there like, well, then why didn't you? Like really, like you could have just done that, saved me a whole bunch of time. But I was just so like done. I was like, okay, and I just walked away. I was just done. But the positive side of that story is that even though I waited in line for an hour, I did run into 2 people, or actually 3 people, who ended up being or becoming like really good friends of mine, so far. And they're pretty nice, really open-minded, and I think everything happens for a reason for the most part, and I don't regret having to wait in that line for an hour because I met some pretty cool people. Flight week, the flight part, the first flight that they had us do sucked, but the friends I made were great, and I would I am gonna definitely cherish the memories I made last week. Alright, that's it. Subscribe if you're interested and like this video if you enjoyed it. Tune in next week. Hopefully I'll post a video on Tuesday. That is my goal. If not, it'll have to be Wednesday. Have a great week.